Before there was a kingdom, before there was a crown, there was a shadow that refused to die. A people without mercy, a name whispered with dread, a command so severe, it has troubled minds for generations. The Amalekites, not just an enemy, not just a nation, but something far more unsettling. Because the story of the Amalekites is not only written in history, it is written in conflict, in memory, and perhaps even in us. They appear suddenly. No grand introduction, no lineage proudly declared like other ancient tribes. They emerge from the dust of the wilderness like a storm that was never announced. The children of Israel had just escaped Egypt. They were weak, unstable, unformed, a people learning how to breathe freedom for the first time. And that is when it happened. Not when they were strong, not when they were prepared, but when they were vulnerable. The Amalekites came from behind, not from the front, where warriors meet with honor, not from the side, where strategy plays its role. From behind, they targeted the stragglers, the tired, the weak, the ones who could not keep up. It was not just an attack, it was a message. And the message was simple. We do not fight fair. We do not wait. We do not show mercy. This was not just war. This was cruelty in its purest form. In the silence of the desert, where survival itself was already a struggle, the Amalekites chose to become something darker than enemies. They became hunters of weakness. And something shifted that day, not just in the battlefield, but in history. Because the response was unlike anything that had come before. Moses stood on a hill, watching the battle unfold below, not with a sword, but with raised hands. And as long as his hands remained lifted, Israel prevailed. But when his strength failed, when his arms dropped, the Amalekites began to win. It was a strange kind of war, not just fought with weapons, but with endurance, with faith, with unseen forces. Aaron and Hur stepped beside Moses. They held his arms up when he could not, because this battle could not be lost. And when it was over, when the dust settled and the cries faded into silence, a declaration was made, a chilling one. The Lord will be at war with Amalek from generation to generation. Not one battle, not one defeat. A war that would echo through time. But why? Why such intensity? Why such a relentless judgment? Other nations fought Israel. Other kings rose against them. But Amalek was different. There was something about them that went beyond war. Something that crossed a line that could not be uncrossed. Generations passed. The story should have faded, but it did not. Because Amalek did not disappear. They returned again, and again, and again, like a shadow that refuses to be erased. In the days of the judges, they joined forces with other enemies, raiding, destroying, taking what was not theirs. When Israel planted crops, Amalek came like locusts, not to conquer land, but to strip life itself. They left nothing behind, no food, no hope, no future. And still, they did not stop. Then came a king, Saul, chosen, anointed, given authority. And with that authority came a command, one of the most difficult and disturbing commands in all of Scripture. Go and completely destroy Amalek. Do not spare them, not the men, not the women, not the children, not even the animals. Everything gone. It is a command that shakes the soul. It raises questions. It demands understanding, because this is not just war. This is eradication. And yet, Saul hesitated. He obeyed partially. He destroyed much, but not all. He spared the king. He kept the best of the livestock. And in that moment, something profound was revealed. Partial obedience is still disobedience. The prophet Samuel confronted him. His words cut deeper than any sword. To obey is better than sacrifice. Because Saul thought he could reshape the command, make it more reasonable, more acceptable, but the issue was not reason. It was obedience. And Saul's failure did not just cost him a victory, it cost him his kingdom. Because the war with Amalek was not just physical, it was spiritual. It was about something deeper than land or power, something that demanded complete removal, not negotiation. And yet, even after this, Amalek was not gone. They lingered, like a wound that refuses to heal. Years later, in a distant land, under a foreign empire, the shadow returned, not with swords this time, but with influence, with position, with power hidden behind authority. His name was Haman, a high official in the Persian Empire, respected, feared, elevated. But beneath the surface, something ancient was alive. Haman was an Agagite, a descendant of Amalek. And when he saw Mordecai, a Jew who refused to bow, something ignited within him, not just anger, hatred, deep, burning, generational hatred, the kind that does not begin in a moment, but is carried through time. Haman did not just want revenge, he wanted annihilation, not just of one man, but of an entire people. Every Jew, every man, woman, and child, gone. The same spirit, the same intention, the same darkness. Different time, different place, but the same war. And for a moment, it seemed like Amalek would finally win. The decree was signed, the date was set, an entire nation marked for death. But history turned, through courage, through risk, through a queen who stepped into danger when silence would have been safer, Esther. And in that moment, the script was reversed. Haman's plan collapsed. The hunter became the hunted. And once again, Amalek fell. But here is the unsettling truth. The story never truly ends. Because Amalek is not just a people, it is a pattern, a force that appears when strength is low, when faith is fragile, when progress has just begun. It attacks from behind. It targets weakness. It waits for moments of transition and strikes when you are not ready. Amalek is what comes against you when you are moving forward, when you have just left something behind, when you are not who you used to be, but not yet who you are becoming. It is the resistance to transformation, the voice that says, you will not make it. The force that whispers, go back. It is subtle, it is persistent, and it does not fight fair. And that is why the command was so absolute, because some things cannot be managed. They cannot be negotiated with. They must be completely removed, because if even a fragment remains, it will grow again, stronger, smarter, more dangerous. And this is where the story becomes personal, because the battle with Amalek is not confined to ancient deserts or forgotten wars. It is here, in decisions, in habits, in thoughts, in the quiet moments where weakness is exposed. There are things that attack you, not when you are strong, but when you are tired, when you are doubting, when you are carrying more than you should. And they do not come openly. They come from behind. A thought, a fear, a memory. Something you thought was gone. Something you thought you had already defeated. But it returns, because it was never fully removed. And now, it demands attention again. This is the unsettling reality. You can win battles and still lose the war. You can defeat something once and still face it again, unless it is completely dealt with. The Amalekites teach something most people do not want to hear. Not everything can be tolerated. Not everything can be reasoned with. Some things must end completely, because mercy in the wrong place can create future destruction, and hesitation can give darkness time to rebuild. Saul hesitated, and generations later, that hesitation almost cost an entire nation its existence. One decision, echoing through time. That is the weight of this story. That is the darkness of Amalek. It is not just what they did, it is what they represent. A force that opposes purpose, that attacks identity, that resists destiny, and it does not disappear on its own. It waits, it watches, it looks for the moment when you are least prepared, and then it strikes. So the question is not just who were the Amalekites. The deeper question is this: what is your Amalek? What is the thing that keeps returning? The pattern that refuses to break? The weakness that is always targeted? What have you only partially dealt with? Because partial victories can create future battles, and ignored enemies do not stay silent forever. They regroup, they return, and they come back stronger. The story is ancient, but the warning is timeless. There are battles that require everything. There are moments where hesitation is the greatest risk, and there are enemies that will not stop until they are completely removed. So when the shadow appears again, as it always does, will you recognize it? Or will history repeat itself?